Somewhere in the world right now, a male peacock is standing completely still, while the sunlight hits his feathers at exactly the right angle, and for a few seconds, it becomes almost impossible to look away from him. The colours begin to shift, the eyes on the feathers seem to move, the entire bird starts to look less like an animal and more like a living illusion. Most people think they understand everything the moment they see it. Beauty. The peacock spreads his tail to look beautiful, to impress the female, to show off. Simple, but the truth is something entirely different, because the reality is far stranger. The female peacock does not look at the colours the way humans do. In fact, some of the most important parts of the display are things humans barely even notice. Tiny vibrations, low-frequency sounds, microscopic movements travelling through the feathers like signals. And once scientists began studying what female peacocks were actually responding to, the entire display suddenly stopped looking like decoration. It started to evolve into a biological endurance test. Welcome back to Backyard Peacock Mind. If you're new here, subscribe before you leave, because today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood behaviours in the animal kingdom. The peacock's tail is not really about beauty, it's about survival, it's about endurance, it's about genetics, and it's about the brutal evolutionary force that transformed a bird into something that almost pushes the limits of nature itself. Stay until the end, because the final thing we'll discuss explains why some scientists see the peacock as one of the strangest examples of evolution pushing itself to the edge. And once you see it, you will never look at peacocks the same way again. Number 1. This tail was never supposed to make sense. If you asked nature to design the perfect bird for survival, it would never create something like a peacock. Its tail alone can grow longer than 5 feet. It is heavy, it is dazzling, it is difficult to carry, it is almost impossible to hide. Everything about it attracts predators. A leopard in the forest would have no trouble spotting a glowing blue bird, and yet, peacocks survived. Not only did they survive, they became even more extraordinary over time. Longer feathers, more dazzling colours, more magnificent displays. And that creates one enormous question. Why would evolution preserve something so dangerous? For years, even Charles Darwin struggled with this. Darwin once admitted that looking at peacock feathers made him physically uncomfortable, because they seemed to contradict his understanding of natural selection. Natural selection was supposed to reward efficiency, but the peacock appeared inefficient in every possible way, until scientists realized something important. This tail was never designed to help the male survive. Its purpose was to prove that he could survive despite carrying such a burden, and that changes everything. Number 2. The peacock carries this burden deliberately. Imagine trying to run through a forest while dragging a giant glowing parachute behind you. That is essentially what a peacock does every single day. The tail slows down escape speed, it consumes energy, it constantly requires maintenance, and maintaining those feathers is incredibly expensive. A male peacock consumes enormous amounts of food every year to grow and preserve his tail. If he gets sick, the feathers suffer. If parasites infect him, the feathers weaken. If he cannot find enough food, the colours begin to fade. The display is biologically so expensive that only the healthiest males can maintain it, which means the female peacock is not simply looking at beauty. She is looking at proof. Proof that this male survived disease. Proof that he was able to find enough food. Proof that his body could withstand enormous physical stress. The tail is essentially saying this: I survived all of that, and I still had enough energy left to create something like this. And in nature, that matters enormously, because strong offspring begin with strong genetics. But then researchers discovered something even stranger. The females were not looking at what humans thought they were. Number 3. The most important part of the display is almost invisible. When humans watch a peacock display, they focus on the colours, the blue, the green, the golden tones. But female peacocks are often far more interested in movement, especially vibrations. When the male spreads his tail, he begins vibrating certain feathers at incredibly precise frequencies. From a distance, it can appear almost motionless to humans, but up close, the feathers are constantly trembling. And during this process, the peacock produces low-frequency sounds that humans barely even notice. Researchers discovered that females often moved not toward where the colours looked best, but toward where the vibrations felt strongest. The structure of the feathers is extraordinary as well. Some remain nearly completely still, while others vibrate intensely. This creates the illusion that the eye patterns are floating in midair. The result is hypnotic, almost unnatural. And suddenly the display stops looking like random beauty. It begins to resemble a communication system refined by millions of years of evolution. A system designed to completely overwhelm the female's senses, and the deeper scientists looked, the stranger everything became. Number 4. The eyes on the feathers may be triggering an ancient part of the brain. The famous eye patterns on peacock feathers are called ocelli, and they are not random designs. Throughout nature, eye-like patterns create powerful reactions. Butterflies use fake eyes to frighten predators. Fish use eye patterns to confuse attackers. Even humans instinctively react to eye shapes. Our brains are programmed to notice them immediately. And the peacock carries dozens, sometimes hundreds, of these patterns across its tail. And when all of them move together, the visual effect becomes overwhelming. To another peacock, the display feels enormous. It feels alive. It feels like it is constantly changing. Researchers believe females unconsciously evaluate symmetry, vibration consistency, eye placement, and feather density all at once. The female is not thinking to herself, "This one is prettier." Her nervous system automatically responds to strong genetic signals, and that reveals something deeply fascinating. What humans call beauty may simply be the brain's way of recognizing powerful biology, symmetry, movement, health, complexity. And no creature in nature exaggerates those qualities more than the peacock, but that comes with a terrible price. Number 5. This tail can get the peacock killed. Every year, some male peacocks die because of the very thing females prefer. Predators notice bright males more easily. Long feathers make escape more difficult. Young males sometimes survive more easily because they do not yet carry massive tails, and yet females continue choosing the largest displays, which creates an evolutionary loop. Females prefer larger tails. Larger tails spread genetically. The species becomes more and more extreme. Over millions of years, the peacock transformed into something almost absurdly extravagant. Some evolutionary biologists call this runaway sexual selection. In other words, mate choice can push a species beyond logic itself. The peacock did not evolve to become practical. It evolved to become irresistible, even if that became dangerous. And when you really think about it, it becomes slightly disturbing. Because this bird's tail exists only because females continued choosing the males capable of carrying the heaviest burden. Nature did not create the peacock through logic. It created it through preference, and preference is powerful enough to reshape an entire species. Number 6. This display is unbelievably exhausting. A peacock's mating display can last for hours. The male constantly lifts his tail, vibrates it, turns, calls, and attempts to position himself toward nearby females. And most of the time, it fails. That part surprises people. Many males never mate at all. A female may inspect several males and choose none of them, which means the peacock's display is not confidence. It is competition, brutal competition. Every male is trying to prove the same thing. My genetics are stronger than his, and females are incredibly selective. Researchers observed that in some regions, a small percentage of males received the vast majority of mating opportunities. The difference between success and failure can come down to just a few feathers, a few vibrations, or a tiny difference in symmetry. That is how ruthless sexual selection truly is. The peacock is not simply showing off. It is participating in one of nature's harshest biological eliminations, and for many males, failure means the complete end of their bloodline, which is why the entire display starts to feel different. Less vanity, more pressure, more survival, and that brings us to the final part. Number 7. The peacock may be one of evolution's most extreme experiments. When you look at a peacock, it genuinely feels designed. Too dramatic, too colourful, too impossible. But the truth is even stranger. No intelligence designed it. No artist planned it. This bird slowly became this way through millions of years of tiny choices. A slightly brighter feather, a slightly stronger vibration, a slightly more symmetrical display. And after enough time, those tiny preferences created one of the most mesmerizing creatures on Earth. But the peacock also reveals something deeply unsettling about evolution. Evolution does not care about elegance. It does not care about comfort. It does not even care about survival in the way humans imagine. The only thing it cares about is passing traits into the next generation. And if attraction becomes powerful enough, a species can evolve traits that actively damage its own survival. The peacock is living proof of that. Massive tails, impossible colours, endless displays. All of it exists because generation after generation, females continued choosing the males best able to carry the heaviest burden. Maybe that is why seeing a peacock in real life feels unforgettable, because somewhere deep in your brain, you understand that it is not merely beautiful. You're looking at millions of years of pressure, competition, risk, and survival. The peacock does not spread its feathers for beauty. Humans simply gave the final result the name beauty. And the next time you see a peacock standing in the sunlight, watching those nearly invisible vibrations ripple through its feathers, remember this: you are not watching vanity. You are watching evolution push a living creature to its absolute limit. Tell me in the comments, what animal do you think has the strangest mating display in nature? And if this video changed the way you see peacocks, subscribe to Backyard Peacock Mind. I'll see you in the next one.